Hello everybody, it's your boy back again. I may as well make a second video. I don't know how the freaking Yearland video did, but I may as well just put more content on my freaking YouTube channel because I never freaking upload. So hey everyone, it's Ethereal here, and I guess today we're gonna be talking about our favorite Favonius knight in training, Noelle. So for one of the reasons why I chose Noelle as a second character after Yearland to give my honest impressions about her is because, you know, I was one of the few OG Noelle sims. Video in the background can probably show, but Noelle is one of my earliest Triple Crown characters, one of the characters that I really sim for. And I think what I found her really enjoyable is because I just like how simple she is. I just like that feeling when you use her burst to just kind of freaking swing this massive sword. But yeah, let's not get into that too far. Once again, we'll go through the same different categories and we'll talk about it, and this is from the perspective of me who is a full-on Noelle sim. So we'll look at, you know, typical damage, utility support, kit and fluidity, team synergy, aesthetics, personality, and whether she's future-proof, and we'll maybe discuss whatever issues she has that is kind of holding her back for whatever reason. Yeah. So first and foremost, if I were to look at Noelle's damage, to be honest, all I can really say is that if you don't have Constellation 6, you literally don't have much of a reason to build Noelle, because if I recall, Constellation 6 lets her burst do like scale even 50% more defense. So like, let's say my Noelle right now probably has like maybe 2.4k defense, right? So with her burst scaling, she is able to easily attain 4,000, maybe even 5,000 to 6,000 attack upon activating the elemental burst. Because how her burst works is that she converts a certain portion of her defense into attack, and that is her way of doing damage, right? But without Constellation 6, her current scaling for her defense for burst is just not enough to do a good amount of damage to be considerable. So we have that. So I guess we can just conclude that in the damage department, she's extremely Constellation locked. If you don't have Constellation 6, don't bother building Noelle for DPS unless you have some sort of like team you want to build or something like that. So yeah. So the second category we'll be looking at is her Noelle's utility or her supporting capabilities. So if you're all familiar with Noelle, but our favorite Favonius mate, you would know that her elemental skill summons a shield whose health scales off defense, and every time Noelle's normal or charge attack hits an enemy, there's a certain percentage, or there's a chance to heal the entire team based on an amount that scales off her defense. And of course, you know, the shield being a Geo shield means it's one of the strongest shield in the game, albeit it's kind of being held back by its super long cooldown. So that's one of I guess you could say her supporting capabilities. And without Constellation 1, I think her healing capabilities are very okay especially for lower AR players. But without C1, you're not gonna consistently get a lot of healing. And so yeah, just to read up Constellation 1, if I like have it right now because I'm looking at the Genshin wiki. So Constellation 1 makes it so that if your elemental skill and your elemental burst, sweeping time and breastplate are both in effect, the chances of your healing effect triggering from your skill is, you know, capped at a max to 100%. So that means every hit you do with Noelle's elemental burst while your shield is up will guarantee the heal throughout your team, to Noelle herself and basically the rest of the team. So if you don't have Constellation 1, I think as a healer she's kinda alright, but if you do have Constellation 1 and you can build your Noelle with like maybe like triple defense or whatnot, then what you can do is you can basically just use your elemental skill and your burst together and do a quick spin attack, and I guarantee you can heal your entire team really fast, although there are better alternatives. So in terms of supporting capability, I guess the one other ability that I kind of want to look at is one of Ascension 1, I believe. No, it's not Ascension 1, yeah, it is Ascension 1. Where when Noelle is in a party but not on field, the ability triggers automatically when your active character's HP falls below, I believe that is 30%, yes. So basically what this does is that if you have Noelle in your party and your active character's health falls below 30%, you know, this procs really often if you play Hu Hao, it will spawn a Noelle shield on that active character that will absorb damage, or that has a health of 400% of Noelle's defense. And you have to consider that this shield is also a Geo shield, so the post-buff Geo shields. So realistically, if you do like some quick maths, it is possible for this passive to save you when you're in a pinch, when one of your active characters is like really low health and he's not one-shotted or something like that. And then you can get this shield that probably can tank 10 to 20,000 damage worth, but this only occurs every minute. Why I feel like this skill is extremely underrated is because I think a lot of people will look at Noelle in terms of like her, how strong she is at the higher level. But if you look at Noelle to, let's say, the pre-AR 40 or something like that, and people are gonna be going against certain tough enemies and they're gonna find themselves in certain situations where they're gonna be near death, this passive will save your ass a lot of times. I personally have been playing Noelle since like day 3, but from the very first day that I started playing, and I can tell you when I always talk to my friends like Remarin and IP, and they were like, oh wow, you guys, oh wow, you never experienced dying, and then I'm like, oh yeah, oh apparently because Noelle has this one passive, and he's just like, yeah, it's just so basically for lower AR players, I definitely feel like her supporting capabilities is really helpful, but towards the late game side, when you start getting more characters, there are clearly better options for healing, utility, etc. yada yada. So in terms of a kit and fluidity, there's not really much to talk about, unless you use White Blind to build up stacks to increase your attack percent and defense percent. What they really want you to do is just use your shield if you want to do healing, or maybe you just want to use it as like a pseudo Zhongli shield with sacrificial greatsword because you don't have Zhongli or you don't have 2D owners or something like that. Her burst is also pretty straightforward, though I believe I would say Noelle's burst is one of the most unique bursts in the game, because compared to other characters like with elemental infusions like Xiao with an Emo infusion from his burst, Raiden with Electro, Ito especially his 5-star variant, Noelle's burst does not disappear upon swapping out, and I think that it gives you more option to swap to other characters and do your rotation and swap back to Noelle in order to do some healing and some nice extra damage, and I think that's really cool. Yeah, I guess there's really nothing much to say about it. Her Ascension 4 is still not that great, so in case you're unfamiliar what Ascension 4 is, every 4 normal attacks or charge attacks that hits enemies will decrease her elemental skill cooldown by 1 second, and hitting multiple opponents with a single attack only counts as 1 hit. I still think that's a stupid condition, but so be it then. But yeah, I think her kit is very basic, nothing much to talk about, so yeah. And then as for team synergy, so remember when I mentioned that Noelle's burst does not disappear upon swapping out, unlike literally every other character that has elemental infusion? I actually tried some teams today, and it was pretty interesting, where I just gave Noelle Favonius and I put on Yelan, Xingqiu, Bennett, Shengling, or all these teams that, basically they're just there to proc elements, and Noelle is just there to have a huge AoE, so it's just like a multi-AoE team. But team synergy, I guess there's nothing much to really talk about from Noelle. She just has a big normal attack or charge attack AoE, but other than that, you can kind of slap on like, most teams for her. Obviously, like her best team would probably include the likes of using Zhongli, Albedo, but of course the downside, as stated by Kaching mains, is that Zhongli and Albedo are both limited 5 stars, so yeah, it kind of sucks that her strongest support is either or very limited. Yeah, overall, you can run Noelle as like a mono geo team with Goro, Zhongli, Albedo, or whatnot, or you can just slap on like maybe the likes of Yelan, Xingqiu, Shengling, Bennett, and all that stuff, and just it probably still works. It's more to say that she doesn't really offer anything to these teams aside from healing, but she does do a good amount of damage in itself. So yeah, there's really nothing I can say about that. And moving on to the next one, we have aesthetics and personality. I guess in terms of aesthetics, her design is pretty simple, but I do appreciate her really simplistic design and how she's wearing this like battle maid outfit, which I still personally find is really cool. And in terms of personality, well, we kind of know how she is if you've done the hangouts. In case you're unfamiliar with how Noelle is, she is basically like Mondstadt's go-to errand girl, where they're in trouble. Every time people in Mondstadt are in trouble, they'll just like scream out Noelle, and Noelle will be there to just go out of her way to help the people of Mondstadt. That's one of the few reasons why Kaya and Jean doesn't want to officially, like, how do you say it, turn her into a fully fledged Favonius Knight, because they know that if she was gonna be a full-on Favonius Knight, she will never say no to any request, regardless of how impossible it is. And I think that's a very interesting way to kind of look at it. And so finally, before we look at how future-proof she is, I guess we'll look at whatever issues that's kind of holding her back. So as I mentioned just now, most of her damage is Constellation Lock, behind Constellation 6 obviously, and even with C6 her damage is kind of decent, but not comparable to the likes of even Ito in the first place and a bunch of other really good limited 5-star characters. Well, given to be fair, she's a 4-star character, so that's understandable. And another thing with her healing supporting capabilities and her damage capabilities is that she has to be on field for as long as she can in order to get the job done, and I think that's kind of like a double-edged sword, because staying on field to heal, rather than using Noelle to just stay on field to heal, you can use the likes of like Barbara, which is free, or you can use Jean or Kokomi or whatever other healers out there that doesn't require you to stay on field for more than 3 seconds. I think one of the biggest problems, like a lot of the majority of the for initial lineups for all the characters in Genshin back in release, is that her elemental skill does not generate energy upon hit, and I still feel like it's just such a massive downside compared to a lot of the other characters that we are having right now. So part of me kind of wishes that Hoyoverse would go back and kind of fix that, just make it so that it generates a good amount of energy particles, because Noelle, despite being a weird pseudo healer, DPS, shield tank support thing, whatever, she needs battery. She suffers from the same problem as the likes of like Chi-Chi and Barbara. So yeah, that's one of the things. So I guess to close things off, we'll just talk about how future-proof she is. I mean, I would say that it's quite impressive that I've seen Noelle holding up in the meta, because there is this one like someone in the Chinese server always making like a, what do you call this, like a tier list in terms of DPS supports based on every abyss, and Noelle surprisingly has managed to stay quite up there, at least B tier and C tier in DPS or support. But that's just a tier, that's just like a weird version of tier list, but I would say that she's alright. I guess to just kind of close things off, Noelle is a really good character for pre-AR 45 or before you reach endgame, so she's really good to just act as that pseudo healer, tank, shielder that you can kind of just keep there for a while until you find a better options. And once you reach late game, then maybe you have better characters and you can kind of just leave her be, I guess. So yeah, I just realized I didn't talk about the Husk artifacts. But I mean, you know how that is for that. The Husk artifact also has the Ocean Clan, which is a very resin inefficient, but no, I'm not gonna explain to that. The video is kind of pretty long. I'll probably have to do some edits. But yeah, so I guess overall, an objective rating, Noelle would probably be a... I'm gonna have to be harsh on this. Noelle at best would probably be a 5 out of 10, but my personal rating would be a 6 out of 10. Like, I can't... As... You know, it's hard for me as a Noelle sim to really give her like any higher than that, because I feel like she's good, she's very solid, but she doesn't really do anything extremely well. So yeah, that's... Man, this fucking hurts to say. But yeah, I guess that's it for this video. I guess maybe I'll choose one of my other waifus to talk about. I think this impression series on whether these characters are good will probably just start off with all my waifus before I start talking about every single character that I have in the game. Obviously I won't make a video on a character that I don't fucking have, because there's no like gameplay like that. But yeah, it's a bit longer. I guess let me know what you guys think. Just give it a like, subscribe, I guess. I'll probably make more of these videos every now and again, hopefully, on top of making music. So yeah, I'll see you guys next time. Bye!